Today we're into Modern to find out if WotC maybe made a mistake on their latest BNR by not getting rid of Grief. They tried to nerf Scam, but they didn't nerf the biggest Scam piece. Should they have shot the head of Scam to kill the ghoul that was dominating Modern? That's what we're going to find out today. So here is our Orzhov Scam deck for Modern. And the goal of this deck, like any good Scam deck, is to pretty much get our opponent with Evoke Elementals. So we have tried and true Grief. This is the key card of today's deck. This is the card that lets us like triple Thought Seize our opponent potentially by turn 2. And this is the card that we're really trying to figure out if Wizards maybe made a mistake by not banning it, even though they were trying to nerf the Scam deck that it is like the key card in. So of course, because Fury got banned, instead of being a Rakdos deck, we're an Orzhov deck. Our secondary elemental is Solitude. So we have Grief and Solitude. Solitude kind of plays the Fury role, not as fast of a clock on the battlefield because no double strike, not as good against a swarm of small creatures, but even better against one or two big creatures with the Scam plan. So we have Grief, we have Solitude, and then we have a bunch of ways to scam them. One of the biggest upsides of being Orzhov Scam is we get to scam with Ephemera, and Ephemera is actually like the best scam piece. Compared to like Not Dead After All, for example, Ephemera doesn't use our graveyard at all, which means graveyard hate doesn't stop our scamming. And because of Rebound, it actually doubles up. So if we turn 1, pitch something to Grief, Ephemera Grief, we get 2 Thought Seizes on turn 1, and then another one on turn 2. So we actually get another activation out of our Evoke Elementals compared to the other scam pieces. We also have a couple of weird scam pieces. Persist isn't technically a scam piece, but it kind of is because we can just like evoke a Grief, let it go to the graveyard, reanimate it. Same with Solitude. And then Touch the Spirit Realm, a little bit expensive. You can channel it for 2 to flicker and the thing comes back on the end step, but it also doubles up his removal. So this is kind of our core scam plan. Because we're playing Persist, we also have like a backup plan of just cycling a Troll of Khazad-dûm and then reanimating it maybe on turn 2 and just having this big like mega menace creature that maybe can steal a win by itself. Otherwise for creatures, Doothy Voidwalker, honestly kind of a scam in and of itself. In some matchups, we like play Voidwalker and Thought Seize you or Grief you to get something big out of your hand, and then we can like sack the Voidwalker, play your massive thing, persist it back into play, do it again or whatever. Orcish Bowmaster is just kind of a busted card. Shieldred, just a 1-up, but really strong if it sticks out. For the rest of our spells, one of my favorite aspects of this deck is we get to play Mana Tithe, also a Reprieve too. So we have 2 counter spells in our Orzhov deck, and Mana Tithe is also kind of a scam. No one expects it, and it's a really good way to get people. Plus we get Vindicate, which is really good because it pitches to either of our Evoke Elementals, and it's like really solid removal, a little bit expensive at 3 mana, but blowing up any permanent including lands mean we have like main deck hate for things like Tron or Amulet or whatever. Mana base, pretty typical Modern stuff, bunch of fetches, dual lands, a Castle Lockwane. In the sideboard, bunch of ley lines, Stony Silence for Tron and Affinity and Artifact decks, Break the Ice good against Urza Saga Tron decks, Temporary Lockdown for big swarmy small creature decks since we don't have Fury to deal with them now, and that is Scam. Post-ban Scam for Modern. That's our deck for today, so let's jump into a league and see if Wizards maybe made a mistake by not banning Grief. Can you still scam, even post-banning? Should Wizards have just shot the head of the Scam deck, got rid of Grief, put an end to it? Are we still gonna get double, triple Thought Seized on turn 1 in Modern? Let's find out. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap up. Need some Magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. We've got new tokens and playmats, and you can even get the tokens signed if you want. Check them all out over at mtggoldfishmerch.com. Much brew about nothing time. We are trying to see if Scam is really dead. Did WotC really truly put an end to Scam with these recent bannings, or was it all a lie? The opponent's playing Mill. Okay, that's awkward. Not sure how this goes. We draw a Doothy Voidwalker. Well, all right, play a Plains. Yeah, we don't really have any hate specifically for Mill. Opponent plays another crab. Well, we will Mana Tithe it. And opponent, Field of Ruin mills us. Sure. We're probably going to have to, well, let's see if we draw land. We're probably going to have to Swamp Cycle this Troll. Okay, we draw land. That is interesting. So we can Solitude, pitch Ephemerate, get rid of the Hedron Crab. I mean, I think we have to do this. So let's Solitude, pitch Ephemerate. So one of the interesting things, so obviously because of the bannings, we're Orzhov rather than the traditional Rakdos scam. One of the biggest changes is Solitude is our removal creature, good at sniping big creatures. On the other hand, not as fast of a clock. So as you can see, rather than a 4/4 double striker that closes out the game super quickly, well, okay, so opponent has surgical extraction, that's fine. So opponents can exile our Solitudes, but opponent's down to 2 cards in hand and has 0 crabs, and we still have a Bowmasters. We still have a Voidwalker, so we're still in fine shape. We're in fine shape here. So they have the answer to the scam. But opponent's out of crabs, which is huge. All right, we will pass the turn. Crab number 3, passing. Well, let's swamp cycle this troll, get a Godless Shrine. Draw a Silent Clearing. Godless Shrine, untapped. Run out a Voidwalker. And pass the turn. Passing? Opponent's having some land troubles over there. Another Voidwalker. Well, okay, go to combat. Hit with the Voidwalker. Voidwalker is still a pretty messed up magic card. Vote it. Down to 12. Silent Clearing number 2. Voidwalker number 2. Pass the turn. And opponent's on a 2-turn clock. And we still have 42 cards in our library. And opponent scoops it up. So opponent's playing Mill. What do we have that's actually good against Mill? The question is Leyline of Sanctity good enough? That is a question. The weird thing about modern Mill, so Hedron Crab targets, Jace targets, Tasha's Hideous Laughter doesn't, Fractured Sanity doesn't. It might still be worth it. What do we have that's bad, I guess, is the other question. I don't know if we have much that's just straight up bad. Maybe Touch the Spirit Realms, kinda meh. Maybe go down the Touch the Spirit Realms. Maybe go down like a Solitude, bring in the ley lines. Let's try it like that. Let's give it a go. I mean, game 1 went pretty well. Game 1 went pretty well. Mostly because our opponent kept the all crab, no land hand. Crabs are really good. One of the best mill cards, but without any lands, Crab's much less effective. I am excited to play with Vindicate. Vindicate, I do love me some Vindicate. Wow, that's a lot of trolls. That is a lot of trolling. I don't think we want the triple troll hand. All right. I mean, we can slow scam a grief. What do we put to the bottom? Probably just a plains. Well, let's see what our opponent does. So I think what we're probably going to do, we'll see. We draw a Voidwalker. Ooh, that's even better. Okay, so let's just play Silent Clearing past the turn. Voidwalker into scam is even better, I think, than scam into turn 2 scam. All right, there's a Hedron Crab. Island. Mills us. Passing. All right, so we will Fatal Push the Crab. Godless Shrine, untapped. Play a Voidwalker. Grief. Vindicate. Well, I mean, I guess we just take the Ruin Crab. It can block, sort of. Not really worried about Archive Trap. I guess this is annoying. Yeah, let's just take Ruin Crab. Lose the Grief for now, pass the turn. So we can reanimate Grief next turn. Maybe our opponent mills us into something even better. So they can Field of Ruin one of our lands to make us shuffle and then mill us. All right, so there goes the Godless Shrine. We will grab a Swamp. I imagine we're about to get Archive Trapped. All right, so there's a bunch of milling. And Preordain. So Troll is bigger. Grief is more disruptive. Opponent puts 2 to the bottom. Well, let's see. Well, I think we just reanimate the Grief. I think I'd rather have a Grief than the bigger Troll. We'll take the Fractured Sanity. Get in, hit ya. Well, okay, the race is on. The race is on. Opponent down to 17. And there's a Soul Guide Lantern, sure. I'm gonna exile a Grief and cracks it to draw a card. Opponent passes. Ooh, Reprieve is actually kind of sweet. Well, go to combat, hit you. Down to 12. This might be working. I think we might be scamming him. We'll see. Another Ruin Crab. Well, we gotta let that go. I mean, the Ruin Crab can't even really block here. Like, this has Menace, this has Shadow. All right, opponent passes. We draw land. We'll play the Marsh Flats. Go to combat, hit ya. Down to 7. So opponent essentially has 2 turns. All right, we're each gonna draw. Another Marsh Flats. Okay, double mill, Ruin Crab mills. Down to 6, oh boy. Watery Grave, down to, what? Down to 4? Wait, doesn't this make our opponent die? Reprieve? Fatal Push. Well, we cracked the Marsh Flats, get a Godless Shrine untapped, and do a little scamming. Scam the Voidwalker. Oh, scam. Okay. Wizards. Wizards. Maybe you should have banned the grief. No fury. No problem in this one. Sweet. Much better big time. We are trying to see if WotC kind of made a mistake with their bannings by not getting rid of grief. So we are doing some scamming. I mean, is scam actually dead because they banned fury and up a beanstalk, I guess, isn't even related? That's what we're finding out today. So we're scamming, but without fury. So let's see. So far, so good. We scam mill real hard. So I don't know. I wonder if WotC messed up. I think WotC's thinking was, okay, if we ban fury, then there'll be less griefs in the meta as well. Whether or not that actually works, that's our little science experiment for today. Hooray for Tron. We do have Vindicate in hand, so as long as they don't like super duper turn 3 us, let's Godless Shrine untapped and Thought Seize you. Oh, Generosent. Okay. I mean, I guess we do need to draw another land. Ancient Stirrings, and Fultron. Okay. At least our opponent doesn't have a finisher. Their hand is just all mana. We'll see what this Ancient Stirrings finds. The question is, do they play... Okay, they just play a Tron land. Well, I think this means... Let's see if we can draw a land. We do. Arid Mesa. I mean, we just Thought Seize, right? I think we just Thought Seize. Power Plant Mine. So they played this mine. They have a mine and a tower. Well, let's Thought Seize. The other option is leave up Reprieve, but I think this is better. That's good. We'll take the Karn. If our opponent wants the Ancient Stirrings, they can't play Tron. So we just gotta hope they don't top deck another finisher this turn. All right, no finisher yet. Let's not crack yet. We don't mind drawing a land. Arid Mesa, crack Arid Mesa. Play a Castle Lockwade. Well, let's 1, 2, 3. Vindicate the Tower. We'd like to draw another black card, I think, before we grief. Let's see what they find here. Ancient Stirrings for an expedition map. So opponent's gonna be able to reassemble Tron. Yep. Just drawing a land would be fine. We could just hardcast the grief. Bowmaster. Well, this is getting sketchy. We blew up a Tron land, but our opponent is very good at finding Tron land, so they're gonna reassemble. Yeah, there's expedition map. So the biggest issue we have at the moment is we just don't have a clock going. There's the tower. Did they draw another Karn? Oh, that's not good. Oh god. All right. Well, there's a Karn. We will reprieve the Karn. Draw Mana Tithe that isn't looking super great. We draw Mana Tithe. Well, let's grief. Pitch the Bowmasters. Take the Karn. And then persist the grief. Take the Sylvan Scrying, pass the turn. Well, let's just hope our opponent doesn't draw anything for a minute. Very many minutes, like 10 turns, 10 turn clock, we're good. Opponent, Tron land. We could draw Vindicate, that would be our best draw. Oh, Voidwalker. Voidwalker would have been spectacular a turn or two ago. That does increase the clock at least. Get in with the grief. It would be amazing if these Mana Tithes did anything. I guess they do pitch to Solitude, but even more mana. Yeah, these Mana Tithes are gonna do nothing. Oh god, they draw a big card. Okay, and eats the Voidwalker. Okay, oh, Tron. They'll go to combat, hit the Karn, play another Voidwalker, pass the turn. Oh god, into the One Ring. Okay. Wow, those are some really good top decks. Explore, sure. And plays a land. So we can kill the Karn, theoretically. We can kill the Karn. The problem is, they still have the One Ring going. No. You drew more? Holy mother. Okay, Oblivion Stone drawn. We draw Swamp. We'll play the Swamp, go to combat, kill the Karn, pass the turn. Opponent. Oh, yeah. What an ugly One Ring. How do you even read that card? I mean, it looks, I like the like psychedelic poster look, but there's no way to know what that... Did you just draw something else, Bommy? Okay, opponent gonna crack the Oblivion Stone. I think we're probably done. Opponent explores. We tried, but it turns out the One Ring is a really good magic card. And opponent draws even more Oblivion Stones. Don't know how we beat our opponent drawing this many cards every turn. We will activate our Castle Lockway and see if we can draw cards. And opponent is going to besiege you. I mean, when you draw that many cards, you can do whatever you want. That is the power of the One Ring. We draw a troll, not super helpful. Silent clearing. Well, we can play the silent clearing. Yeah, I mean, the thing is our opponent's drawing 4 cards a turn, so we know they're just going to draw bombs, and they have this Oblivion Stone, so no. All right, that's good enough. Yeah, you did it. You did it, Tron. I mean, there is good news. We have Break the Ice, we have Stony Silence. Those are very good sideboard cards against Tron. On the other hand, that was pretty brutal. Like, that wasn't even especially close, honestly. Like, we did some discarding. We even had a Vindicate for Tron, and our opponent just very easily reassembled and just did their thing. That's not the most encouraging, All right, well, we get to play first. Well, we have many cards that we want, but no lands, so we will mulligan. This hand is about as bad as a hand can be against Tron, so we will continue to mulligan. This hand's bad, but I guess we keep. I mean, we have a Vindicate. The problem is we don't have a clock. That is the big issue. We just currently have no clock. And with no clock, we give Tron so much time to set up, which is just not good. Opponent's keeping it 6, which is also not good. Urza's mine. Probably should have sideboarded out the Fatal Push, I guess. They do play Walking Ballista, but still. All right, Godless Shrine, untap. Well, I mean, Stony Silence is a good draw. I don't know if it's a good enough draw, but it is a good draw. Our opponent's playing a weird build of Tron that's playing Explore, so they might not be as reliant on the artifacts. Well, Godless Shrine, untap. So we get to blow up a land. I guess we just go with Power Plant? Well, more Vindicates, more Break the Ices, or a clock would be what we're looking for. Oh, come on, opponent. Another Power Plant. Come on, deck. Come on. Well, Voidwalker's better than nothing. It's not great, but it's better than nothing. Get down the Voidwalker. This does give us a free win mode if we can find a discard effect. Wow, we guessed super wrong with the Tron lands. Opponent, Relic of Progenitus. Stony Silence saving us, though. We draw. Discard. Get in with the Voidwalker. Troll's actually pretty good here, though. This is a clock, so we can cycle the Troll, get a Literal Swamp, play the Swamp, persist the Troll, pass the turn, and now we're hitting for 8 a turn, which is a big improvement. We just gotta hope they don't draw Tron. We draw. Discard, Grief. All right, Ephemerate. Well, go to combat, hit ya. Down to 9, pass the turn. Okay, another mine. Okay, that's fine. That is a Tron piece, but it's not the one we were scared of. Well, let's try with Castle Lockwayne. There's the Fatal Push. Reprieve is actually kind of nice here. Reprieve might lock this in. Get in, hit you down to 1. So with Reprieve in hand, I'm not sure our opponent can draw out of this, even if they hit a Tron land. Just another mine. Opponent, 1 ring. We will Reprieve it and make you die. Oh, okay. That went a lot better. Our sideboard cards really helped there. The scary thing is we are going to be on the draw, which means Vindicate might not be fast enough. That's the thing about 3-mana land destruction. If our opponent's on the play with Tron, they can't just Tron us before we get there. I think we are going to go down the Fatal Pushes. Are we bringing back in the Manitize? I mean, what else are we going to bring in? Touch the Spirit Realm is kind of sketch. Let's bring in a Mana Tithe. Maybe we just go back up a Solitude, even though Solitude isn't that good either. Yeah, you know, let's go with Touch. At least Touch, we can scam with it. Let's run it like that. How about a Break the Ice in our opening hand? That would be a sweet one. Break the Ice is fast enough. Opponent, Urza's mine, and passes. And Godless Shrine tapped, go. This is going to be interesting. Let's see what our opponent does. So we can blow up a Tron piece. We also have Stony. Oh, they play Besiege You. Explore. Tron land. Relic. We draw a Grief. Wow. This is very interesting now. How greedy are we? Wow, this is a wild choice. So we can play Voidwalker in Scam and hope for the best. We probably got to just blow up a Tron land this turn though, right? I think. Let's just Godless Shrine. Break the Ice, mine. Opponent, gonna eat the Break the Ice, I assume, yeah. All right, sure. Ooh, what can we draw? Thoughtseize would be really sweet. More Break the Ices, Vindicate's online now. All right, there's the tower. Another relic. Passing. Solitude. Well, I mean, I think our only realistic plan here is play the Marsh Flats, play a Voidwalker, Grief, pitching Bowmasters. We got no Scam, but hopefully we can get a finisher out of our opponent's hand. Ulamog in the One Ring. I mean, we got to take Ulamog, right? Yeah, we take Ulamog. It goes under the Voidwalker. So our opponent has a turn to answer this Voidwalker. Or else we Ulamog him. We Ulamog Scam him. All right, pass the turn. Opponent, they got to crack those relics. They don't have a choice. They got to find an answer. The One Ring is like fine, but it doesn't stop us from playing at Ulamog. Opponent cracks and cracks. Well, this is it. They cash in their stuff. They draw some cards. Do they find the answer to the Voidwalker? If not, Tron life is over. We got him. And the One Ring, sure. So our opponent's gonna get a little bit of protection, just a little bit of protection. Passes the turn. We draw a Vindicate. Wow, this turn's gonna be sweet. So we will sack Voidwalker, cast an Ulamog. Ulamog, 2 Tron lands. And then we will play a Stony Silence and pass the turn. Takes a little damage. I do like beating Tron. It does feel good to beat Tron. About it. Scoops it up and yeah. Thank you for the Ulamog, opponent. Just when you thought you were safe to Tron because Scam was dead. Not yet. Well, up to 2-0. That is a cool looking Ulamog, especially when it's on our side of the battlefield. And this is, boy, we just wrecked them. Stony Silence locks down the One Ring. We can untap and Vindicate one of their 2 remaining lands and just Ulamog him into oblivion. Sorry, Tron. Scam's still here. Do we keep this? We got a Voidwalker, got a removal spell. Yeah, I guess it's fine. We don't have the explosive turn 1 Scam start, but I don't think we need to have like the turn 1 Scam. I don't think we have to mulligan into oblivion to have the Scam start. Fatal push your thing into Voidwalker is still pretty good. Maybe we can use Not Dead After All to protect the Voidwalker. Let's see if Lotsy made a mistake. Should they have actually just banned Grief? We will play a Swamp. Pass the turn. Let's see what our opponent's up to. Unclaimed territory. All right, so creature deck, humans. All right, so opponent is trying to see if humans can make a comeback now that Fury's gone. I think we just kill the champion. Yeah, let's just Marsh Flats, crack it for a Swamp, and run out the Voidwalker. Pass the turn. Troll of Khazadam. Opponent. Wow, more champion of the perished. Esper Sentinel. Well, we're gonna need to draw something here. Thought Seize. Pay the 1. Take an Anointed Peacekeeper. Godless Shrine. Not Dead After All the Voidwalker. Sack the Voidwalker. Get it back. Play the Anointed Peacekeeper. I guess Jarina. Yeah, name Jarina. So opponent can play Thalia, but Thalia's not doing a ton to us at the moment. Well, you can see the difference here. Not having wow, Thalia's Lieutenant's a good draw. You can see the difference here not having access to Fury. Fury would have been a huge blowout. Opponent goes combat, gets in, hits us. Yeah, that Thalia's Lieutenant off the top might be deadly. That might be deadly. We need a top deck here. More trolling. These trolls. Are these trolls? They're cute, I guess, but I mean, I guess we get in with the Voidwalker. There's nothing else to cast. It can't block, hit ya. Yeah, we gotta draw something. We need to draw something. We can cycle a troll to thin the deck. Opponent hits another land. Thalia. Grows the dork. Oh, this champion of the parish is too big. We need if we can answer the champion of the parish, we got a shot. We really need a solitude. We need the solitude and we need it right about now, I would say. Well, let's swamp cycle. Get another godless shrine. All right, deck. Time for a big draw. Time for a big draw. Fatal push. Fatal push counts as a big draw. That does count as a big draw. Is it a big enough draw? Well, play godless shrine tapped. Hit our opponent with a Voidwalker. Pass the turn. I don't know if we can get out of this or not. This is going to be close. Plays the Jarina. All right, so we need to fatal push the champion of the perished. Pay the 2. Well, we answered it. I don't know if we answered it fast enough. Opponent. So we're not dead on board. Nukes our graveyard. I mean, we are going to block. They can sack the Jarina to save it, right? All right, opponent lets it go. All right, we got to draw something. We got to draw something. Castle Lockwain. Well, all right, Castle Lockwain. This does keep us alive on paper. Hard cast the troll. So we get in with the Voidwalker. We could also, like, play the Peacekeeper and cash in the Voidwalker. Is that better? Actually, no, I think we attack. Attack for 4. The troll can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. So either, I mean, if our opponent draws another Thalia's Lieutenant, we lose. That just kills us. Something like Adeleine would kill us. If our opponent can't kill us here, they're actually kind of in trouble. Wow, okay, Sax Horizon Canopy. That smells a little desperate. A little desperate. Desperate humans? Hold, troll. Hold. This horrible troll might be holding. Lavinia, okay. I think this is fine, though. Opponent has to stay on defense, and they're gonna have to put their... So the Jurina's a bit of an issue. Yeah, the Jurina's the problem, right? I'm wondering if what we're actually supposed to do here is sack Voidwalker for Anointed Peacekeeper to name Jurina. I think that's what we have to do, because then our opponent can't activate Jurina, and they're gonna have to lose their board, most of it. Yeah, okay, so I think that's the plan. This is kind of a weird plan, but sack Voidwalker, drain you to 6, so Troll's lethal. Play the Anointed Peacekeeper. Oh no! Oh no, we hosed ourselves. Oh boy, I'm gonna get yelled at for that one. All part of the plan, all part of the plan. Draw with Castle Lockwain. Another troll. Oh, wow. Okay, well, I guess I'll say maybe Richard was right. Maybe Richard was right in Lavinia. Maybe Lavinia's good. Wow, that was, boy. I don't know what to say about that one other than I'm gonna get yelled at in the comments a bit. Just a bit. There might be just like a bit of yelling in the comments. We thought through such a sweet line, but we did not think through Lavinia. So the plan there was, so we get the Anointed Peacekeeper to name the Jurina, because if we just attack, the problem is they just sack the Jurina and they get to save their board. And that kind of ruins everything. Well, okay, opponent. You're about to be scammed. You're about to be scammed. The Ephemerate Scam is the best scam. So we're gonna grief. We're gonna pitch a Thoughtseize. Opponent. How's that hand looking, friend? What do we got going on over there? We will take a Sanctifier Invec, and then we will Ephemerate this grief. Grief will come back into play. We'll take this Jurina, I say. And yeah, pass the turn. Cavern of Souls. Passes. All right, Ephemerate returns. Thoughtseize Part 3. We will take a... Wow, they're drawing a lot. Take the Coppercoat Vanguard. We draw a Voidwalker. Well, untap land, play the Voidwalker. Oh yeah, we can't attack this turn. That is the one downside of scamming with Ephemerate, is we don't get to attack this turn. Opponent. Could really use a Fatal Push. A Fatal Push would be... Wow, they drew another Coppercoat Vanguard. All right, so opponent is drawing exactly what they need, that's for sure. Play the Silent Clearing past the turn. Yeah, that was a pretty good draw for our opponent. Thalia's Lieutenant to grow the Vanguard. Opponent gets in for 3. Well, we draw. Ugh, even more lands. Even more lands not ideal. Let's crack this. Okay, let's play Marsh Flats. Let's crack Marsh Flats. Grab a Swamp. Sack the Silent Clearing. Ooh, temporary lockdown. That's a spicy one. That is a spicy one. Hit you to 8. That might be our get out of jail free card here. Opponent Secluded Courtyard. Thalia's Lieutenant. I mean, I think that's gonna be our plan. Opponent grows the dorks, goes to combat, hits us for 8. We drop to 4. We draw a Voidwalker. I mean, go to combat. Down to 2. Play the Swamp and temporary lockdown. And pass the turn. Can you stop the grief? Can you stop the grief? You need 2 creatures. An opponent cannot. Oh. So, okay, the punt in game 1 was super brutal. It was super brutal. We saw Scam, actually, like, it was enough there. Like, our opponent kept throwing action, but being able to take Sanctifier, Jurina, and Coppercoat Vanguard, that was enough to let us get the Scam win. Like, triple Thoughtseize, guess what? It's still good. Even without Fury, triple Thoughtseize, still pretty powerful. I think that the lesson here is, everyone punts. I punt probably more than most people. Everyone punts. So, yes, ideally you stop punting and you don't punt anymore. That's the dream world. And the more you play, the less you're going to punt, the better you're going to get, all that stuff. The most important thing, though, is when you punt, can you recover from that punt? Because everyone's going to do it. Like, from pros to noobs, everyone's going to punt. When you make the mistake, do you keep going and just, like, get it out of your head, go on to the next game? That's the most important thing. And that's something, like, I've had to learn, because it's easy, especially when you know your punt's going to be watched by like thousands of people. It's easy to let it throw off your next game, and you're like, oh no, like this punt just ruined everything. Whatever, like I ruined this whole video. It's easy to let that get in your head, and then you play worse, and it like snowballs in a negative way. So it's important to be able to get yourself in that headspace where, okay, I made a mistake, not ideal, like I should have read Lavinia or whatever. Like that's the thing that's going to happen, but that's on me. But okay. We're on to the next game. Let's play that one as well as we can. So I think that was all that to say. I think that was a pretty good recovery from the punting game one. Well, all right, humans on the play. That's a little scary. Would love to see a fatal push or temporary lockdown in our opening hand. Also, have not seen much solitude. This could be a matchup where a solitude scam could actually be very good. Obviously, not the Fury scam, but still, like sniping 2 or 3 creatures with a solitude, kind of big game. All right. I mean, the sand looks pretty good. We have the grief scam. Hopefully they don't lean on Esper Sentinel. That would be the most annoying because they get to draw a card. Ether Vial. Okay, that's actually kind of fine. Play a Godless Shrine untapped. We will grief, pitch a troll. I bet our opponent thought this was over. They thought it was done. We will take the Champion of the Parish, and then we will Ephemerate the grief and take the Thalia's Lieutenant, and our opponent currently has no non-land cards. There's actually a question as to whether we actually Ephemerate here. Secluded Courtyard. I actually think we don't rebound. So we will play a Silent Clearing, run out a Voidwalker. So the problem with Ephemerate there is we don't get to attack. If our opponent drew a 2-drop, they would have played it. If they drew a 1-drop, they can put it into play. So the only way that's bad is if they drew a 3-drop, and I think it's worth it to get in the 3 damage, because now we're in win the race mode. Opponent, land on human. And Persist would be cute. Persist, reanimate the troll. Opponent, Thalia. And we draw a Fatal Push, which is nice. Well, go to combat, hit ya. I mean, Scam's still looking pretty good. Opponent, Vials. Okay, it was a pump fake. All right, nice fake. Opponent goes to 11. Yeah, I guess we just pass. I don't think we have to kill the Thalia right now. I don't even know. Do we have to kill the Thalia at all? Opponent, no, they're land. I mean, that grief scam still got him. Opponent. Well, let's cycle this troll for a swamp. And opponent, done. And I think WotC should have banned grief. Like... I think mistakes may have been made. I mean, if I could just throw this deck together, pump my way through it, and we're currently 3-0, it seems like double, triple Thoughtseize on turn 1 or turn 2. Still pretty good, even without Fury around. Scam, you thought it was gone. Our opponent was looking forward to being able to keep creatures in their hands, but not today. Not with us. Scam them. Sweet. We are trying to find out if WotC maybe made a bit of a mistake by not banning grief and letting Scam run free. So we're scamming. Wizards tried to ban this deck, but apparently they didn't ban it enough. I mean, we'll see. We're going to mulligan this 1-lander. I mean, this is the scam, right? So what do we put to the bottom? So we keep. We need the troll to get another land. So we put Thoughtseize to the bottom. Yeah, put Thoughtseize to the bottom. I mean... this is why they should have banned grief. We're going to see why they should have banned grief. So we get to play Marsh Flats. We get to Crag Marsh Flats. I mean, in a lot of ways, this is even more brutal, right, than the Rakdos scam. So we get to play a grief, take a peek at your hand, take your Thought Knot Seer, and then we will Ephemerate the grief, blanket, take the Dismember. I honestly don't know if we should... do we blink the grief again? We cost ourselves some damage. I guess we do. Yeah, I think we're going to. They could have drawn another land, but... ooh, all right, Reality Smasher. I'm glad we did it. Go Manitize, pass the turn. Well, let's cycle the troll. I guess we should have cycled the troll during our turn, technically. I mean, this is still fine. Cycle, get a Godless Shrine. Ooh, touch the Spirit Realm. Down to... they don't have a cavern, right? They don't. Down to 17. We're still going to need another threat, though. Like, we've taken 3 of our opponent's best cards. Oh, they draw an Urza Saga. That's not great. We've taken their best cards, but they might just beat us with lands. Fires up a Mishra's Factory. Like, if our opponent just does Urza Saga stuff, that might be enough to beat us. We could use a Persist for this troll. Well, go to combat, get in, hit ya. Down to 14 past the turn. If our opponent never casts a spell, we never get to get value out of our Mana Ties, which is sad. Mutavault, opponent, going to pass. Well, go to combat, get in, hit ya. Solitude's good. The Solitude Scam might be enough. So opponent makes a construct. It's a 1/1. Urza Saga. I imagine they make another one. Solitude. Pitching Mana Tithe. Get rid of the construct. And then we will touch the Spirit Realm. Blink the Solitude. So now we can get rid of the other construct. Oh, can we win this race, though? I imagine they're going to get Shadow Sphere, and that life gain is a concern. Wow, are we going to take Thought Not Reality? Yeah, there's a Shadow Sphere. Oh, they draw another one? Oh, dear. And equips. I mean, we get to kill it, but still. Chalice on 0, sure. Well, we get back our Solitude. We get rid of the construct. But they're going to go back to doing the same thing, and they're back up to 16. Marsh Flats. Well, go attack and hit you for 6. We gain back a little bit of life, but oh boy. They didn't have any of those Urza Sagas in hand either. Well, opponent. We need, I guess, more removal. We're kind of just like, I think we're stalled out where we can't even attack. We did all this scamming. Oh, Ephemerate would be sweet. We need something. We need something so we can keep attacking. That's what we're missing at the moment. Well, Voidwalker. Voidwalker's something at least. So if we attack, they make a 3/3 construct that gets bigger. They do have to double block, so we would kill a land? Is it worth it? I think we attack, right? So if they want to block this, they make a construct, fire up a creature land. I don't think we block with the Solitude. Yeah, we're going to attack with the Grief. We'll see what our opponent does. If we put down them down lands, that increases the odds of this Mana Tide doing something. The bigger issue is they're going to have lifelink. So opponent makes a construct. It's a 3/3. Fires up Mutavault. Blocks. Well, okay. In that case, I think we kill the construct. So get rid of the construct. That actually worked out pretty well. So we put our opponent down the construct. They get to make another one. At least it doesn't currently have haste. So they can't gain life this turn. Boy, if we can draw like an Ephemerate or some sort of scam effect, then I think we got a shot. That's what we really need. We really need some way to blink this Ephemerate or this Solitude. Tap a artifact or creature. Okay. Yes, Mana Tide's looking pretty sad. If we get a chance to counter anything, we're going to do it. Well, are they dismembering the Voidwalker? I mean, they obviously have dismember. We just saw them spend life. Wow. All right, opponent dismembers down to 6. The problem is they have, the Shadow Sphere, so they're going to gain back a lot of life. Come on, Ephemerate. Come on, Ephemerate. Come on, Ephemerate. All right, that doesn't do anything. Well, we will pass the turn. Oh, it might be slipping away. Yeah, opponent can actually deal a lot of damage because they have so many lands here. So they tap down the Solitude, goes to combat, not firing up the lands, gets in, hits us, gains back a ton of life. I mean, we'd also take a Fatal Push. That would be fine. Relic of Progenitus. That's awkward. Well, cycle this troll. We're never going to cast it anyway, so we might as well thin the deck. Get a swamp. Untap. Grief. All right, well, play a land. We'll run out the Grief, but boy, this is the slowest Grief. Serum Powder, okay. Well, we'll pass the turn, but without a way to deal with this 6/6, none of this really matters. Are we dead right now? Like, if they fire up all their creature lands, this construct gets huge. I guess it's 2 mana to activate this Pacification Array, which I've never actually seen anyone play, but it's actually doing some work here. Yeah, we're gonna end up like 1 removal spell short, it looks like. About it. Boy, Break the Ice would be hilarious against this deck. I'm looking forward to sideboarding because they are playing a lot of colorless lands. I don't know if we can realistically get enough mana to overload it, but oh, it'd be so good. Mishra's Factory. And opponent Mutavault. And opponent taps the Solitude. Alright, well, we block the Foundry. Drop to 1. We gotta draw it this turn. Like, we need to draw it this turn. It's gotta be a way to blink. We need the Ephemerate. We need Ephemerate this turn. Well, that is ephemerate this turn. Okay. So we go to combat, get in, hit you, gain back a bit of life. I mean, this gives us a chance. It's still not guaranteed because of all these creature lands. So let's pass the turn. We'll see what our opponent does. But that is our best draw. That's the draw that gives us some chance. Opponent's going to exile a card. Sure. We'll see how many creature lands they fire up. If they top deck a Dismember or something, then they get us. Like, we don't really have a good way. Wow, so many creature lands. My God. Fires up a Mutavault. And fires up a Mishra's Factory. So our opponent played correctly, so they actually beat the Ephemerate here, because they left up the Pacification Array. So we can blink and get rid of the Construct, but then they can tap before we get to block. So this still ends up being lethal damage. Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, we have to block. We're not in good shape, but we're alive. Our opponent did not use the Pacification Array. Chalice on 1. Well, let's get that value because we're going to lose it. Mana Tithe it. All right, come on, deck. We need a top deck. We need a real top deck. We're losing to these creature lands. Our Ephemerate goes to waste, sadly. Come on, deck. Orcish Bowmasters. Okay. Bowmasters is intriguing. Oh, the Shadowsphere. Shadowsphere is such a good card. All right, opponent eats a card. Matter Reshaper. And Mutavault. Opponent gonna go to combat. Attack. Well, we will Bowmasters. We're staying alive-ish. Paying the Mutavault. If all of our opponent's lands were not creature lands, this would be way easier. But like, all their lands are creatures. Block the Mutavault. Another Bowmasters. Okay. I mean, we're trying. We are trying. We have killed a lot of creature lands. The number of creature lands that we have killed is absolutely absurd. Mutavault, Factory, also an Urza Saga. Dismembers the Bowmasters. Yup. Well, I mean, I guess we're doing the same thing. Unfortunately, our opponent gets to draw a card with this Matter Reshaper, but snipe the Matter Reshaper. Block the Matter Reshaper. Hope they don't spin into anything too busted. Another Matter Reshaper. Okay. How about a Solitude? We could use a Solitude. Fetateeth. That's not gonna do it. Okay, so I think now we actually die. Interesting. We actually like triple scammed and it didn't end up mattering because we couldn't assemble quite enough and maybe this is the downside of getting rid of boy, they drew so many creature. I mean, I guess there's an upside to all of your lands being creature lands, which is what we're seeing here. Yeah. All right. Opponent has finally assembled lethal. I think we would have won if it wasn't for that Shadowsphere. I think Shadowsphere is really what did it. I don't know. I don't know what we change, really. Like, Stony Silence does a little something, but not that much. Temporary Lockdown, I don't think does enough. Yeah, I guess we just cut the Mana Ties. They probably have Caverns anyway. And they're putting Chalices on one. Let's run it like that. So we scammed the Grief and it wasn't enough. I mean, maybe this is the dream example for Wizards, where like, we did the Grief scam. The thing is though, like, if the Grief scam play pattern is the problem and not the power level, isn't this still the problem? That we like triple Thoughtseize on turn 1? That's the thing. Like, we still did the thing that everyone hates. Yes, our opponent managed to draw out of it this game, but like, does that actually make it better? Because the problem wasn't necessarily that scam was like too good, right? People always use that counter argument of like, oh, it only wins 50% of the time or something. Like, if the problem isn't it's too good and it's that the play pattern's too obnoxious, the play pattern still exists. I mean, I think this play pattern is actually even more like devastating because you get even more Thoughtseizes out of it. Well, in our dream world, we somehow get 1/3 of our lands on the battlefield and overload of Break Ice. Those creature lands are brutal. Well, all right, go troll. Opponent going to pitch their hand to a Serum Powder, many Eldrazi Mimics, and a Matter Reshaper. All right, well, we will Marsh Flats. Go. Gotta play the Marsh Flats in case they have Relic. We'll have enough cards that we can still reanimate the Troll next turn. Eldrazi Temple, one of my favorite Magic the Gathering land cards. Well, crack the Marsh Flats, grab I guess we just grab a Plains. Cycle the Troll for a Swamp. Untap. Play the Swamp. Reanimate the Troll. And hope you don't have Dismember. Pass the turn. I mean, turn 2, 5-4. Turn 1 Dismember. All right. And Matter Reshaper. Well, that was our big plan, and it did not do enough there. Let's Verdant Catacombs and pass the turn. Wow, we're gonna have so many lands this game that we might actually be able to overload the break open or break the ice. Opponent goes to combat, gets it, hits us. I mean, we do need to draw it. We still haven't drawn it, but opponent hits us down to 16. Oh, that would be such a hilarious way to win. Thought not see ya. Well, we will crack Verdant Catacombs. Get a Godless Shrine. Just thin in the deck a bit. And let's reprieve it. Whoa, we draw a Solitude. I mean, I guess we need a white card to scam it. Oh, these trolls. We are getting trolled. Literally trolled. Well, play a Swamp. Yeah, this is unfortunate. So we can't Solitude. We can't Solitude because we don't have a white card to pitch. I mean, we can pitch the Touch the Spirit Realm. Well, maybe that's good. I don't even know if we cycle the troll. I think we don't. I think we just untap. Play a Silent Clearing. We have two options. One option is Voidwalker plus Touch the Spirit Realm to get rid of the One Ring. The other option is pass. Oh, we can't let our opponent draw 3 cards. We can't. One Ring's too busted. All right, so I think we have to do this. So play the Voidwalker. The problem is, so we could just pass and like Solitude away the Thought Not Seer. But if we do that, our opponent gets to draw 3 cards with the One Ring. And I don't think we can beat our opponent drawing 3 cards with the One Ring. So we're going to play the Touch the Spirit Realm. The problem with this plan is our opponent, we still can't block because we have Doothy Voidwalker as our only creature. And our opponent, we know they have Thought Not Seer and they still have all these creature lands. And they could have even more than that. They did draw with the One Ring. Oh, the One Ring's so busted. Reality Smasher. Okay, even worse. Goes to combat, gets in, hits us. And I think we might be dead. Opponent hits us to 3. We draw a Grief. The slowest, saddest Grief. Yeah, I mean, we can Solitude. I mean, I guess Solitude sort of gives us some small chance. So we get in and hit ya. We Swamp. Oh, we can't even do that or we die. Okay, we pass the turn. Yeah, I don't know. Is Reanimating a Troll even good? If our opponent just fires up... they draw the Urza Saga. If our opponent just fires up their creature lands, we still die. But in theory, we can like Solitude, hit the Matter Reshaper, block. So opponent plays Thought Not Seer. Well, we need to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to play the Solitude. Get rid of the Reality Smasher. Opponent gets to take one of our cards. If they have Dismember, then we're dead. Fires up a Mutavault. Goes to combat. Attacks. Well, I mean, we'll block the Matter Reshaper. Go to 3. Matter Reshaper goes to exile. We untap. Vindicate. Well, 1, 2, 3. So we can Vindicate the Thought Not Seer. Draw a card. Ooh, Fatal Push. That's actually a good draw. Now I think we Voidwalker to take a Thought Not Seer. Get a peek at what's in our opponent's hand. That's a lot of Matter Reshapers. So take a Matter Reshaper. Swamp Cycle the Troll. For a Godless Shrine tapped. Oh, we need the break. We need to break the ice. We need to break the ice. That is the card we need. And we need it like this turn. Because the problem is, these Blink Moth Nexuses. Fires up a Mutavault for some reason. Blink Moth. Opponent goes to combat. Opponent attacks. Well, I mean, block the Mutavault. Okay, this works out. So we get to Fatal Push the Blink Moth. Oh, come on, deck. Come on, deck. Come on, deck. Break the ice. Grief. Sack the Silent Clearing. Thoughtseize, not great. Play a Grief. Take a Matter Reshaper. I mean, we have to attack, right? Get in, hit ya. Opponent. The break the ice would have been so funny. Oh, we're just so low on life. Opponent, Urza Saga. Oh, the break the ice would have been so good. We just could not find it. All right, opponent. Wow, opponent's making some of the most unique choices I've seen. Our opponent's not playing this in a very aggressive, it's very odd to me. Pacification Array, okay. We draw. Arid Mesa. Well, Arid Mesa. Okay, we gotta pass. We can't crack the Arid Mesa because of the Blink Moth. So we have to pass. I guess we're not technically dead on board. Our opponent can't fire up the Factory and Pacification Array. Okay, now we're dead on board. Fires up the Blink Moth. I guess I just fire up the Factory too. Yeah, that also makes sense. Fires up the Factory. Goes to combat. Well, I mean, we gotta kill it. Letting our opponent draw a card is a bummer, but we gots to do it. Oh, I wish we could crack this fetch. Opponent passes. If we draw the break dice, I'm going to be so sad. Not dead after all. But we are dead after all. Well, Eldrazi Tron. Interesting. Did Wizards make a mistake by not banning... Well, okay. No griefs in this hand. Did Wizards mess up by not banning Grief? That's what we're trying to find out today. Is Scam still alive and well? Breeding Pool for opponent. Untapped. Wild Nacatl. Well, I wish we were on the play so we could snipe that, but I guess we just Godless Shrine tapped. We'll see. Maybe our Bowmasters will still be good enough. All right, well, now it's a 3-3. It's a little bigger. A little bit bigger. Down to 17. We draw Ephemerate. Well, play a Swamp and pass the turn. Satellite Stalker. Well, we can snipe that. Opponent goes combat. Attacks. Yeah, I think we just take it. We can take it and we can Bowmasters the Stalker. Or attempt to. Bowmasters. Snipe the Stalker. More Ephemerates. Well, let's just play a Swamp. Go to combat. Do we hit with the army? Yeah, I guess we hit with the army. Actually, no, I don't know if we hit with the army. Let's leave back the army. Let's just hit with the Bowmaster. There could be a world where we like Bowmasters, Ephemerate the Bowmasters, and grow this big enough to like kill the Nacatl. Opponent goes combat. Attacks. So I think what we do is just block with the army. Second Bowmasters. So snipe the Nacatl. Grow the army. We want to try to hold on to the Vindicate because eventually they're going to play something big enough that we can't really deal with it. All right, opponent's going to bolt the army. All right, that's fine. Or we take 0 because we blocked. Let's, I think, cycle the Troll. Get a Godless Shrine. Draw a Grief. Well. This might mean we got to pitch the Vindicate. Do a bit of attacking. Yeah, I mean, I think we have to, right? Let's Grief. Pitch the Vindicate. See what our opponents got. They haven't been playing anything, though. Maybe they're holding all lands. I guess it's possible. Opponent. Leyline Binding. Okay. Going after what? The Grief. Well, we will Ephemerate the Grief. And opponent does not like being scammed. Okay, we kind of scammed him. I mean, that's all we really want to do, right? Like, that's pretty much it. I don't know if we want to change much of anything. I could see an argument for, like, temporary lockdown, but we might just, like, straight up run it back. I mean, that was, like, a late scam, but it still just, like, drew the concession. People do not like getting double, triple Grief. And I can't blame them. It's not especially fun to lose all your cards to Grief of Emirate, but it is an effective way to win the games of Magic, that's for sure. What are you up to, opponent? Oh, we have no Grief. Okay, we keep this, though, because we have Solitude Scam, and Solitude Scam is probably pretty good against our opponent's deck. Only one land, but we can get another one with the Troll. Satellite Stalker starts a growing. Well, Godless Shrine, untap. Pass the turn. Well, that's interesting. Now we can also just persist the Troll. Let's see what our opponent does. And hits us for 2. All right, let's cycle the Troll. Yeah, let's just get a Swamp. I don't really want to have to shock next turn. Get a Swamp, play the land. Should we just reanimate the Troll? Probably. We could also Voidwalker. Yeah, let's just reanimate the Troll. That's fine. So get a 5/4 Mega Menace, I guess. Can't be blocked by 3 or more creatures, except by 3 or more creatures. I guess that's Mega Menace. Opponent, Flooded Strand. We don't really want a Solitude Scam yet. We'd rather have our opponent have a second creature so we can kill them both. We still would like to draw another land at some point. I'm still not sure. I'm not 100% sure about the Troll plan. Is a 5/4 even meaningful enough, like, for this to be a thing? Opponent, Leyline Binding. Play a creature. Scion of Draco. Okay, that's kind of what we were hoping for. So opponent gets and hits us, but now we get to do some Solitude Scamming. Down to 14 temporarily. We draw Fatal Push. I mean, I think we got to do the thing. So Solitude, pitching Solitude. Exile Scion. Ephemerate Solitude. Exile Satellite Stalker. So opponent's going to gain a bit of life, but we get a Solitude, and our opponent is kind of like out of playing a creature this turn, mostly. If our opponent plays a creature, we can just blink the Solitude again. Opponent gets Jagatha. Well, in that case, I think we play a Bowmasters. Ping ya. And at least this gives us something worth ephemerating. Ephemerate the Bowmasters. Ping ya. All right, opponent bolts it. That's fine. So we draw Marsh Flats. Lands, we were going to need the land eventually. Get in with the Solitude. Gain back some life. Well, we'll see what our opponent has. Jengatha is big. We don't currently have an answer for it. Territorial Kavu. We do have an answer for that. Ooh, another Solitude. That should be good eventually. Well, let's crack this. Grab a Godless Shrine. The question is, do we want a Voidwalker to exile the Kavu or Bowmasters this turn? So I think we play Voidwalker. I mean, we gotta go for the Fatal Push. They could have like a Stubborn Denial or something, but all right. So they bolt the Solitude. Well, get in and hit ya. So opponent's got Jengatha and one unknown card. I guess we mostly just want lands, really. Tribal Flames to kill the Voidwalker. We'll touch the Spirit Realm. Well, I mean, that does put us a white card away from scamming the Solitude. Wild Nakatal. We draw Grief. Go to combat. Attack. Opponent takes it. Well, pass the turn. Another Scion of Draco. About it. Gonna go attacking. Can we draw a white card or land? If we can scam with Solitude again, we suddenly become in pretty good shape. Run out the Bowmasters, ping ya. Mana Tithe. Mana Tithe's a white card. That is a white card. So Solitude. Pitch the Mana Tithe. Get rid of the Sign of Draco. And then touch the Spirit Realm. Scam the Solitude. Just keep scamming. Just keep scamming. Go attacking. Hit ya. Would love another Ephemerate. Eventually this Jengatha is going to come down. Solitude. Snipe the Nakatal. Opponent's back up. We gained our opponent so much life by doing this. I guess that's the other... all right, here comes Jengatha. I guess that's the other big difference between scamming with Solitude and scamming with Fury. Is we're sniping lots of things, but we're also giving our opponent a lot of life. 1, 2, 3, and... ouch, 4. Run out the Grief. See what this last card is. So, they did have Stubborn Denial. All right. Well, that's fine. Pass the turn. Opponent's out of cards. We're out of cards. Technically, we have the bigger board. Jengatha can't really attack. Ephemerate. Oh, another Grief. Well, go to combat. Get in with the Grief. Menace kind of paying off here. And, I mean, I guess we just keep griefing. No scamming, just the fairest of griefs. Fair grief? Opponent's holding a Temple Garden, okay. We do gotta be aware of the burn spells. Like, we already saw Tribal Flames. That's a lot of damage. Okay, Teferi. I don't know what that really does that's effective here. Okay, they bounce a Grief draw card. Well, we will kill the Teferi. Grow our Orc. And Territorial Kavu. Ephemerate. A Troll. Swamp Cycle the Troll. Get a Swamp. Replay the Grief. Well, we can't really attack at the moment. We know our opponent's got nothing in hand, although the Territorial Kavu might help with that. All right, that's the turn. No attacks. This is a really close game. This ended up being a super duper close game. The only bit of good news, if they do draw with the Kavu, at least it triggers the Bowmaster. So that's something. That's a little something. It doesn't make it good, but wow, it goes on the big attack. Discards a land. Ping the Territorial Kavu. And block here, block here, block here. Oh, they drew a Leyline Binding. Okay, that's a good draw. So they're going to keep the Kavu. That hurts. The Kavu is still alive. And a Satellite Stalker. Well, now we need to draw something. We need to draw... Persist would be fine. We take a Persist here. Vindicate. Okay, that's interesting. The question is, what do we vindicate? So we can vindicate this. We could also just get our troll back and try to kill our opponent. That might be better. The problem with leaving this alive is it does let our opponent loot to improve their draws. But if they loot, they trigger the Bowmaster. This does have Menace. We're at 11. Hit you down to 11. And I think we take our troll back. This might be too greedy, but vindicate the Leyline Binding, get back our troll. Opponent untaps. What do they draw? I mean, they can't really loot, right? Okay, they just exile a card from the graveyard. Well, in that case, we will take 5, down to 6. Opponent. Oh, they drew something. Another satellite stalker. So they can't block the troll, but can they kill us? All right, opponent passes. We draw. Vern Catacombs, not helpful. Crack the silent clearing, draw a card. Bowmasters is more helpful. Well, play Vern Catacombs. Go to combat. Get in with the troll. Opponent can't block it. Down to 5. Okay, it really comes down to this top deck. Please don't draw Tribal Flames. Lightning Bolt. Can we play around a Lightning Bolt? Not really. Attacks with everything. What are we doing with the Kavu? Just eating a card from the graveyard. Actually, this might work. So 1/2 Bowmasters. Snipe the smaller stalker. Okay, opponent sacks it. I mean, I think we kept ourselves out of bolt range. If they drew exactly Tribal Flames, then I guess they get us, but all right, block with the grief. Did you top deck Tribal Flames? No, you really did? Oh my God, they drew Leyline Binding. Oh, that also does it. Wow. Wow. They had one turn and they top decked it. Oh, that's insane. Yeah, now we die. Wow. Oh, I can't believe they drew it. That is wild. Okay. All right. Well, we are on the play for game number 3. No blink effects. All right, this is better. So we put Reprieve to the bottom. We pitch the troll. Yeah, I think this makes the most sense. So Reprieve to the bottom. Let's have a little bit of scamming fun. So untap land, Grief, pitch the troll. Take a peek at our opponent's hand. And scam number 1, we will take a, oh, this is so brutal for our opponent. We will take a Scion of Draco, Ephemerate the Grief. Scam number 2, to Fairy Time Raveler. And we'll pass the turn. So opponent has a Stumber Denial in hand for now. That is it. That is all. Opponent Flooded Thread. And, well, I guess we rebound an Ephemerate here, targeting our Grief. Thoughtseize number 3. Triple Thoughtseize turn. Our opponent's played a land, and we Thoughtseize them thrice. Good, clean, fair magic. Even if this deck sucks, maybe they should have banned Grief. It's possible. Because this is just so... Is our opponent going to scoop out of frustration? All right, opponent cracks Flooded Strand and just gets a Triome. All right, we blink the Grief. We take the Stubborn Denial. We play a Fetid Heath. We draw Mana Tithe for the rub-ins. Pass the turn. All right, now the question is, can we close out the game? Opponent currently has nothing in hand. Can we close out the game fast enough before they draw something? So opponent's what, 4 lands, right? Everything else has been discarded. Opponent plays a Steam Vents tapped. Well, we will speed up our clock a bit with the Bowmaster. Ping ya. Go to combat. Hit ya for 5 down to 30. Oh, watch this Mana Tithe pay off. This Mana Tithe actually countering something would be so huge. Like, that might be the dagger if we can actually pull it off. Opponent Temple Garden. Tapped. Passing. Well, I guess we just keep on Bowmasting. Ping ya. Down to 12. They bolt the Grief. Okay, that does slow down the clock. Well, touch the Spirit Realm. We'll hit you for 4. Down to 8. Are they actually thinking about playing it untapped? Why were they thinking? Guess Jengatha. Not bad after all. Again, and hit you down to 4. Yeah, I think the scam might hold here. If they play Jengatha, we win. And opponent, yeah. Get scammed! It turns out. It turns out that Scam is in some ways even better than before. Like, sure, we didn't have Fury, but why do you need Fury when you just seize all of your opponent's cards? That was a very interesting close game. I will say, yes, we were scamming them, but it ended up being a really interesting close game of Magic, at least, so that was sweet. So what did we learn this week about Scam? Is it still in Modern? Did WotC make a bit of a mistake by not banning Grief and just banning Fury up a Beanstalk? And I got some thoughts on this. So record-wise with the deck, I played a league, went 3-2. Fine, got a treasure chest out of it. Started another league. I'm currently 1-1 in that league. I ran out of time to record more to get this video up by Friday. So I don't know, we'll see how the rest of that goes, but that would mean we're 4-3 overall. So a slightly positive record, which is fine, especially after having not played Modern in a month and just like kind of throwing this list together. And plus, if you think about the conversation about banning Scam, the biggest argument people had against it is people would always say, well, Scam doesn't actually win that much. It's only got like a 50% win rate. So So Scam's issue was never about being too good at winning. That was never the problem with Scam. Scam had two problems that led to Wizards targeting it. Problem number one, it was just too heavily played. It was 20% of the meta, even more than that in certain events and like the winners meta, the top tables. So that was problem number one. Problem number two was just the play pattern. Getting double thought seized on turn one is just kind of miserable to play against. So is the problem solved? Did the banning of Fury up a Beanstalk actually fix the Scam problem? And I'm going to say no, with an asterisk. So I will say with 100% confidence, what it didn't fix is the play pattern. Like we saw it throughout all of our matches here. If anything, the double thought seize you thing is even better than it was before, because Ephemerate actually lets you triple thought seize rather than double thought seize. So if the issue with the Scam was, and the issue with Grief was, it really sucks to just have your hand stripped on turn one and get janked out that way, that's still gonna happen. And the deck feels good enough that you can definitely still play it, and plus there's other possibilities, maybe mono black Scam or whatever. So there's other possibilities, but I think the play pattern of like, I'm gonna get you with Grief on turn one, that's not going away. Like getting rid of Fury didn't really get rid of that. The asterisk is maybe Wizards like backdoored into fixing the problem if Scam isn't very heavily played. That is our big hope. So the play pattern is a real bummer, but play patterns only matter if you see them very often. So the question's going to be, how good is Scam? Is Scam still going to be 20% of the meta? I would be very surprised. Is it still going to be 10% of the meta? Is it going to be 5% of the meta? How big is that number? That's what's going to determine whether these bannings were a success or a failure. I think that is all it comes down to, because there's a lot of decks that have miserable play patterns, but they're like super fringe decks that you hardly ever play against. So it really doesn't matter. If you play them one out of every like 100 games, who cares? Like what your opponent's doing in that one game. It can be any miserable thing and that's fine. The play pattern only becomes an issue when it becomes a popular deck that has that play pattern. And I'm really on the fence about this one. Seeing this deck, like it felt good. We posted a winning record with it, but it also didn't feel like busted. Like remember when we first played the Beanstalk deck and it just felt like, oh my God, we're not even like playing the same game as anyone else. Like it didn't feel like that. You're still kind of like grinding out wins. Not having Fury does weaken the deck in the weirdest way. Like our removal is still fine, but it weakens the deck in the weirdest way of like not being able to close out the game as quickly. And sometimes we'd struggle trying to like piece together actual 20 damage with like Doothy Voidwalkers and Orcish Bowmasters and so forth. So I think it did power down the deck to some extent. So maybe that'll be enough. Like maybe getting rid of Fury makes Scam like a 5% of the meta deck, which is still going to be like a little annoying, but not going to be really problematic. So that's going to be the thing to keep an eye on going forward. Like Scam is going to exist. You are on occasion going to get triple thought seized or double thought seized by Grief in Modern. That's not gone. The bannings did not get rid of that play pattern. The question is just how often are you going to run into those decks? I think the answer is that Scam decks are probably going to be like tier 2. I hope they're not tier 1. I think as long as it's not a tier 1 deck, then I would consider the bannings mostly successful, even though really, like, with all the talk about fun and play patterns, I kind of think WotC should have just banned Grief alongside Fury. Like, the play pattern's still there, and you're still gonna have these bummer games where you just, like, have a non-game because your opponent took all your stuff with Grief. We saw them multiple times throughout our matches where we're just like, haha, Grief Ephemerate, like, you have no cards in hand, like, good luck trying to do anything this game. And even in those games, like, I don't know, even if our opponent won, it's just such an awkward, drawn-out game that it doesn't feel like a very good one. So I guess we'll have to wait and see on the play pattern. I would say my overall feeling is Grief is still really good in the Scam package. The Scam package with Grief might even be better with Ephemerate, but the deck overall is a bit less powerful because of the lack of Fury. How this all shakes out, I guess, is anyone's guess, but I really think that WotC probably should have just erred on the side of getting rid of Grief if that play pattern was the real problem and the real thing that we're trying to avoid in Modern. I think it would have been better just to get rid of Grief, be done with it, not have to think about it anymore, rather than like ban around Grief and hope that by like banning Fury, you power down Grief and Orcish Bowmasters enough because you won't see them often enough. I wish they would have just, you know, shot the head to kill the ghoul type thing. But anyway, that's Scam. It's still around. That's Grief. They should have probably banned it. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed some Modern, and I will talk to you soon.